What's up? My name is Coach Ash. My pronouns are they and them, and I'm coming to you from Black Star Adventures, sharing some of my favorite mobility exercises for you. Today we're going to do 3 variations on an arm screw exercise. And I'm going to show you all 3 variations and then show you some of the differences and some of the key similar points to keep in mind between the 3 of them. So let's get started. This first one is a rotational arm screw, sometimes called an Egyptian arm screw. We're going to begin with our arms out to the side, palms up, and nice tight fists. Feet are hip width apart, chest is up nice and proud. We're going to lead with the shoulder of, in this case, my right arm. My right shoulder is leading towards the ground as I continue to reach towards the opposite walls. I'm going to let my hip pivot towards that direction. My spine stays long, my gaze on the horizon. I unwind, come back to start. Shoulder leads down on the other side, hips follow with the pivot. Repeat, maintain that tension. Keep that spine nice and tall and long, reaching for each wall. As you turn, your gaze stays on the horizon, turning from side to side. Again, lead with the shoulder. The second variation is similar. The difference comes in what the hips are doing. So the arms are doing the same thing with all of these exercises. The shoulder's leading and the body is kind of following. The hips are going in different directions. For this one, we're doing a hip hinge arm screw. We're going to start with our feet together on this one. Knees are going to be a little soft. Arms are in the same position. Out to the sides, palms up, tight fists. We're going to lead with that shoulder coming down. That turns the body towards the side a little bit. And we're going to follow with the hips. Instead of rotating, we're going to stick the butt out at a 45-degree angle. We are not leading down with our chest. We're leading with our butt. We're leading with our shoulder. Unwind, lead on the other shoulder. Butt sticks out 45 degrees. Unwind, stand tall. Spine stays long. We're not bending down. We're sticking the butt out. Lead with the shoulders, lead with the hips. Eyes on the horizon. For this third and final variation, we're going to drop into the bottom of a squat position. And we're going to do what's called a knee drop or a Cossack's arm screw. So we start at the bottom of our squat. We're active. We're not sunk into it and relaxed passively. We're active. Arms are in the same position. Out, palms up, tight fists. Lead with the shoulder and drop same side knee as you turn facing the opposite wall. Come back, active bottom squat position. Drop the shoulder, rotate, drop the knee. Unwind. Exhale to each side and return. Going back and forth, tight fists, open chest, active hips. When you're done, stand up nice and tall. So let's go over some of the fine points with these exercises. I presented them kind of in the order that I recommend people learning them. Not because one is better than the other or one is necessarily more difficult than the other, but because there's generally some movement competencies that need to be developed along the way as we get to the more difficult ones. Now, for all of these, we want to have some of the same positions and the same movements happening in the upper body. Again, the difference is what's happening in the hips. For all of these, we want the spine long, chest open, and to be leading with the shoulder. Notice that I'm not leading with my hand turning down. I can turn my hand here without much happening at the shoulder because of how the forearm twists. We want to lead with twisting at the shoulder. Think of taking that front of the shoulder down to the floor. That's going to force the rest of the torso to move. If you've done martial arts, think of like giving yourself an arm bar. And in fact, if you do martial arts, this is a very good warm-up for grappling sessions where you're going to be getting into arm bars and things like that. So we lead with the shoulders and not with the hands. Again, for all of these, we want to keep the chest open and a nice long spine. We want to keep our eyes on the horizon and move from the hips as we turn side to side. The torso will follow where the hips are going. If we keep our eyes on the horizon, we don't have to worry about bending over, which is one of the things we don't want to do. It's common for people to, when they're learning this exercise, bend the head down and lose tension in the arms and the shoulders. We don't want to do that. Again, lead the shoulders down, and then the hips are going to go into different directions depending on the variation that we're doing. In the case of the hip hinge, the butt is moving off angle, 45 degrees. Feet are staying together. This one is a bit more active in the hamstrings than the rotational one, which is a bit more applicable to rotational sports like tennis, things like that. Again, all of the variations are good, and they should all have a place in your program. And speaking of programming, where would these fit into your program? Well, they work great as a part of your warm-up. If you're doing a dynamic warm-up in preparation for movements that are similar to the arm screws themselves. For example, the last one that I showed you would be a great one to do on days where you are doing heavy back squats with a barbell. The hip hinge variation is also really good for days where you're doing hip-dominant exercises like deadlifts. And the rotational one that we started off with is great for days where we are especially looking to develop good movement throughout the whole body. All of them are great for days where you're doing upper body work. So all of these exercises are great as part of a warm-up, but they're also wonderful as part of planned recovery workouts when you're doing other joint mobility focused things. So those are the two contexts in which I like to program those, either in your warm-up, choosing the variation that matches best with the exercises that you're doing later on in your workout, or as part of an overall mobility-focused workout. Now, if you've got any questions, feel free to drop a comment below so I can help you out with that. Feel free to find us as well on blackstaradventures.fun if you're looking for help with your fitness and you need a program or someone to help you out with that. Have an awesome day. I'll catch you later.